You know, we were all raised being told a lie, and that lie is that great minds think alike. And it's not true. It's never been true. In fact, if you think about it, throughout human history, the greatest minds have always thought decidedly unalike the prevailing wisdom of their peers or their era. I mean, you think of Copernicus or Galileo. You think in more recent times in the business world of Thomas Edison or Steve Jobs. I mean, the reality is the greatest minds have always thought differently. They've always seen the world from a different perspective, through a different frame of reference, a different lens. They've seen things the rest of the world missed. And can I urge you, if you're going to innovate and be creative in the way that every business or organisation will need to be in the coming few years, the people within your organisation, your team, who are those people who see the world from a different perspective, through a different lens, they mustn't be shunned, they mustn't be sidelined. Their views, divergent, sometimes confrontational, sometimes controversial, those views, those perspectives are critical to bring in because they are often at the core of innovation, of creativity. And there are lots of examples of businesses and brands that have leveraged the value of the perspective of those who see the world differently, particularly those who've got fresh eyes, who don't have the same blinkers the rest of us do. I love the case study, for instance, of IKEA. You know, in the early days of IKEA, before they were in the flat pack business, they used to sell furniture that was fully assembled. So if you went to IKEA to buy a chair or a table or a cabinet, it actually came as a piece of furniture, not an Allen key inside. And in those early days, at one point, they were having a catalogue photo shoot for a whole lot of new stock that had just been released. And at the end of the photo shoot, the staff from IKEA were putting a whole lot of this furniture back into a truck to go back to the warehouse. But there was this one dining table that would not fit back in the truck. And no matter which way they tried to angle or shift or move this piece of furniture, it would not fit back into the truck. And they wrestled with this thing for a good half an hour. Standing at a distance, watching all of this going on, was the photographer who'd been doing the catalogue photo shoot. Someone, presumably, who probably knew very little about furniture removals. He watched them wrestling with this table, and with the benefit of fresh eyes and being removed from the situation, seeing it from a different perspective, he simply yelled out, "Boys, why don't you take the legs off?" Seemed perfectly obvious to him, and it hadn't occurred to them because they were so close to it. And they took the legs off and it all worked, and what a great idea. Now if you trace it back, that one question from that one photographer who had fresh eyes, a different perspective, that became the seed of an idea that became the basis of IKEA's entire business model, the flat pack, assemble it yourself at home business model. Now, having assembled my fair share of IKEA furniture over the years, I often wonder how many relationship breakdowns that one photographer is responsible for. But that's the power, that's the benefit of fresh eyes. People who see things from a different perspective. And yet so often, what do we do in organisations? Someone comes into the team with fresh eyes. Maybe they've come in and they're a naive youngster who's just come in ready to take on the world, willing to challenge the process and ask why. Or it might be someone who's come into the industry from outside of the industry, who just doesn't know how things have always been done. You know, that's the beauty of fresh eyes. People who can think outside the box because they don't even know what the box looks like just yet. And yet these people come in who've got a different perspective or a fresh view, and often what we implicitly tell them is sit in the corner. Watch how things are done around here. Once you know how we do things around here, then and only then can you offer some ideas. And by that point, often it's too late. They've got the same blinkers, the same perspectives the rest of us do. You know, sometimes we call programs that foster this induction, probably better known as indoctrination programs. So can I encourage you, if you're going to innovate and find creative ways of doing what you do in the future, and we all must consistently be willing to try new things and do things in a different way, those people in your organisation, on your team, who've got the fresh perspectives, the different points of view, the divergent opinions, they may well be one of the most valuable sources of innovation and creativity you've got. Leverage them. Don't sideline them. Make the very most of what these people have got to offer.